Hi, this is Kristen here, and welcome to another process video. And today I am playing along with the Iron Crafter. This is a hop that's hosted by Tara from the Paper Snob, and anyone can play along. She's got a Facebook group called the Paper Snob. You can join in there. There's people on Instagram and also YouTube creators. So I'll have all the information linked down below if you would like to join in. And so this month we're supposed to use punches. She always gives you some kind of challenge each month with things to use on your layouts. And so I am going to use one punch. That's all I use, but I ended up making a bunch of squares. So I had seen during Christy's Beautiful Life, the 30 Days, the last series 18, somebody had made a double page layout with like a flip flap. I ended up doing the layout, but choosing not to do the flip flap. And so I was wanting to circle back around and actually do a flip flap layout. I'm not much of an interactive scrapbooker. I've never done flip flaps, so this is the very first time I've ever done any kind of flip flaps. So I'd watched a lot of tutorials and different people. I'll link somebody down below that she helped me a lot with like her videos because she's a huge interactive scrapbooker. So I'll try to find that and then link it down below if you'd like to check it out. So my oldest son is really into Minecraft. He's been wanting an interactive layout, and so I thought, what better way than to do a Minecraft layout? So I end up taking a bunch of different pieces of green paper that I had just, in my stash that I'd either, they were partially used or ripped up or whatever. So, and just punched a bunch of squares through those. And then I ended up taking green paper here and cutting it down. I believe it's like a 9.5 by 9.5, and just adhering the squares to that. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm sorry I do a lot of this off screen. I will cut away from quite a bit of it because with the 3 flip flaps and all that, there was like a lot of movement and I had to kind of compare and contrast, the layouts. So I really didn't have as much on camera as I would have liked to have had. And unfortunately, this will be a little bit longer of a video, probably close to about 30 minutes, just because of me, trying to show my process with the flip flaps. So what I had seen this interactive scrapbooker do on Facebook, because most of the flip flaps that you can buy that are already pre-made are usually like in 5x7s or 2x2s or something like that. And I was making 2 big flip flaps. So what she does is she takes protective sleeves that you would use for like a 12x12. She'll cut it down on her cutter to the size that she needs. And then she uses this thing called a fuse tool to essentially get the one side sealed down that you've cut. So that's what I'm doing here. It's by We Are Memory Makers, and it's just kind of like a little heat tool. It's got this like little attachment on it that helps to essentially seal everything down. So that's what I'm doing here. It comes with a ruler so you can kind of keep it lined up and straight. And you have to do it on a glass mat, obviously, so that way you don't melt anything. And I have that dark piece of paper there just so that I can see where, since it's a clear piece of plastic, so that way I could kind of make out about where the end of it was. And so I'm just going to test out this piece, make sure it fits in there okay. So I was just kind of feeling my way through this the first time. I have to say, I really enjoyed the process of it, but it took me a long time to finish this layout, at least this side. I'm going to do a second page too. So the second page will probably get a little bit quicker because I'm not planning on doing 2 big flip flaps. I end up buying several smaller flip flaps to use. And so the second page will probably be like smaller flip flaps. So I won't have to go through this whole process of making my own. And so now I'm going to start working on the second part of the flip flap. So if you watch Minecraft at all, you also know, watch the movie or have kids that play Minecraft, you know that there is like a big red block that's TNT. So he kind of, and I feel like that's a very identifiable piece from Minecraft. So I end up pulling out a bunch of red scraps again. A lot of this was from the recent challenge that we had for Rainbow Crush, which was red. So I just kind of took the rest of those papers out. And then I took red paper that I had in my stash, cut it down to a 9.5 by 9.5, which I think I end up miscutting because I did end up having to like cut a little bit at the end of this off. It was more than 9.5. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and adhere these squares down, and I do 3 rows of red, followed by 3 rows of white, followed by 3 rows of red again. And see, I was checking. I'm like, why is there like this tail at the end? I'm like, am I like off with what the other flip flap will be? But it ends up that I just cut this end just maybe it's slightly longer. So, and so here I go with the white part of it. And then I'm going back to the 3 rows of red. I've decided to do flip flaps is nice because you can get a lot of photographs worked on to a layout. But at the same time, I kind of feel like you can almost do 4 pages that, you know, I guess if you didn't, you know, if you only wanted a couple pages and try to work a bunch of, you know, photographs on it. But I feel like I would probably do 4 pages quicker than I did the flip flaps. But again, it was my first time ever doing flip flaps, so I don't know, maybe the next time I'll be a little bit quicker. And so now I'm going to try to mock up TNT. Now I end up going a different route with it. I mean, it's still the same. Like these are, so this is just black paper that I punched out with the square punch. Now the TNT on Minecraft goes down like this, the end part of it, but I realized quickly that I was not going to have room for that, so I do end up having to kind of change how it's designed here, which you'll see here in a moment. And I'm like, I absolutely cannot make this work. So as much as I really tried to keep it like as close to the original design, but I'm like, even then that doesn't really look that much like an N. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I'm like brainstorming, like, what do I even do to make this work? And that's when I realized, like, let me just move this up and move everything over and just take out the one guy in the middle. So, and I'm like, and that's more clearly an N and works on this layout. So, which isn't how it is in Minecraft, but you know, sometimes you have to improvise as best you can. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and get all these squares glued down. So I go ahead and make the second flip flap here, and then the general idea here will be that the green will go over the red. And so I'm going to start trying to figure out how I'm going to mount the first the flip flaps on here. So I decided to just go with white cardstock on with just a plain red border. So that will be my base for what my flip flaps will go on. And then the other paper, as well as the ephemera that you'll see me pull in, are all from Bella Boulevard from Teen Carson Vibe, or Teen Vibe Carson. So I'm going to go ahead and get my white cardstock adhered down onto the red background. And then I'm going to figure out about where I want my flip flaps glued down. I wasn't super like scientific with this. I didn't like measure it. I didn't use a T-square ruler. I just pretty much I put some just regular adhesive down and then also glue just to make sure that it kind of would stick. But I also wanted the adhesive, just the tape adhesive, to kind of hold it in place until the glue could dry. And so I'm just kind of eyeballing it about where it needs to be on the page. So then that way, when both of the flip-flops are laying down, there's kind of, you know, it looks like it's centered And then I also have to pull in the green one to make sure that where the red one folds down and that it's all gonna kind of lay over each other, so. And I wanted to keep the background paper kind of simple because I kind of felt like most of the focus should be on these flip flops here. And my initial thought was to actually do the flip flaps directly onto the page protector. And I kind of was getting excited to see how these would work, that I glued them directly down onto the cardstock. I actually think that this ended up working out better this way, so I'll show you kind of how I improvised, because of course I wanted my main paper, so the one with the white and the red, because there's going to be pictures and decorations on that, I would want that protected. And so, and because I put all my layouts in a 3-ring binder, I need page protectors to put into the 3-ring binder. So I kind of had realized like, oh no, but I just kind of kept going. I'm like, I think I've got a way to kind of fix this. So anyway, so this paper again is from the Bella Boulevard Teen Vibe Carson. And so I want to decorate underneath the flip flap, but have it hidden behind the flip flap. So I'm just kind of marking and generally where I need to cut this green paper down so it'll be hidden. And then because I had a limited amount of this paper, I do really try to conserve it. I go pretty minimal on embellishments and things like that with these flip flaps. Just because a lot of it's hidden, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't adding too much bulk to these, because it was already going to be somewhat bulky, just because it was going to be 2 flip flaps overlaying each other. So, and I'm just kind of trying to make sure that you can't really see this green paper underneath the flip flaps. So. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. So I'll end up doing the second part of the layout as a separate video. So I will link that later, just because I don't want this video to get too long. And because it did take me a minute to kind of figure out how to do this, it'll probably take me a little bit to figure out how to do the single flip flaps. The blue paper that you see is just some leftover scrap paper that I had from, I think that might be like an Echo Park paper, maybe called Little Boy or something like that. And I decided to take both of those pieces and make them into banners. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere these pieces down. And so the reason why I'm doing Minecraft is A, my son loves Minecraft. And B, we had gone to the Indianapolis Museum this was a couple years ago. They had a Minecraft exhibit there. So we went during his spring break. So this would have been probably 2023, I think is when it was. And so, so that he could go check out the Minecraft exhibit. And he loved it. So I, of course, thought that this would be perfect to document when we went to go see that exhibit to do Minecraft. Plus, when she issued the border punch, or to use punches, I was like, well, I got a square punch, and that would be perfect to do Minecraft with. I don't know if I'll end up adding some more embellishments on the inside of this that's like kind of Minecraft, because I did find some Minecraft type images and things on Cricut, so I might cut some of those off and add them kind of on the inside of these pages. But I kind of wanted to get the general idea of what I was doing first. I decide to mount the 4 photographs all together on white cardstock and then on red, so that's what I'm doing here. And I do decide that banner piece, I had kind of offset it. I decided to pull it up and kind of have it flush because I kind of felt like this was starting to kind of take a very linear look to it. So I kind of felt like try to keep everything kind of linear. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue the photographs down. Now I do apologize because I had kind of a lot of moving parts with this. I did keep kind of moving off the frame when I was recording this. So I do try to cut out, like if I'm cutting off what I'm doing down below, I do kind of just cut away from that. So then when I come back, there will be pieces at the bottom, but I had so many moving parts that I just was not aware where I had everything kind of positioned while I was filming. And so these pieces that you see me pull in, again, are all from that Bella Boulevard collection. And the gamer pieces that I'm adhering down, those are from the cardstock sticker set. The other pieces were die cut pieces. I could have probably maybe snuck a few more pictures onto this, but onto this back part, but I did want some journaling there, so I opted to just do the 4. And then the journaling, I had found a font on, I think it was FontSpace, and I downloaded it to Windows and just kind of explained what we were doing, where we were at. It was a Minecraft font that I'd found. And so I'm just going to get all that adhered down. I do pop up this piece on foam. And so now I'm going to work on the TNT part of the flip flap. So again, I had limited green paper, so obviously I couldn't back it, the photographs in green like I had on the main paper. So I end up cutting it into strips, and I decide I'm going to do like a border at the top and the bottom with both of the flip flaps. So the Minecraft one and then this TNT one. I guess the green Minecraft block, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. And these 2 pages end up looking somewhat plain, so that's why I'm saying, like, I might go in and add a few Minecraft pieces just, to make it more Minecrafty, I guess. And again, these are just leftover pieces from that I had in my scraps, these green, or the blue paper, but I felt like it went really well with kind of the general colors that were in the team vibe. So on this one, I decide I'm going to mount the pictures onto white and then onto green since it's a red background already. Of course, we went and saw the Minecraft movie when it first came out, so he's really excited. I mean, they definitely set it up to do a second one, so. Of course, Lava Chicken song is a daily song he sings. If any of you guys have younger boys, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I sing it every time with him because it's a catchy song, so. So I'm just cutting down this green. This is obviously green paper that I used to punch out the Minecraft pieces from, so I was just using what I had left over there. And I end up pulling up the blue pieces because I realized like this is going to mostly cover that up. So I do end up pulling those up, going ahead and mounting in the photographs and then changing where I had those blue strips adhered down. So and so now I've got that blue strip fixed on the top and the bottom. Of course, the bottom's cut off, so I end up just not showing that part. And then I'm pulling out some pieces from the cardstock sticker set. That's what the Good Vibes is from. I decided because my youngest son is laying with him. They had like these like beds that were laid out that were supposed to be like Minecraft beds, and they were just exhausted, so they were laying down. So I thought the low battery with bummer on it was kind of cute for that. And then I pull in this cardstock heart that says the guys on it. Now I am doing part like pieces down the bottom right, which I'm obviously have that cut off, so I'll have to. You'll see you'll see when I shift everything up that there's pieces down there. And then I end up popping the bummer up on foam. I add a couple little heart stickers that were from the cardstock sticker set here too. I was trying to work in this arrow because I thought, oh, it looks like Minecraft blocks, but I didn't really like anything I was putting it on there, so. I do end up finding a puffy sticker that says level up and put that over the top of the Good Vibes sticker. And so now I'm going to start working on the second flip flap. So this is the Minecraft one. And I'm going to do the same kind of border on this with the green and then the blue. And so I'm getting the borders adhered down here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put these photographs onto white and then to red cardstock. And I had to recut the bottom left picture because I had gotten something sticky on it, and I ended up cutting it down too small, so you can see like it's a bigger gap over on the left-hand side there, and that was bothering me. But I didn't want to print up another picture. I was just like, it was a good picture. I'm like, I don't want to waste the money and the ink, so I'm like, I'll just cover it up with this border piece here. So I ended up taking, that was from the cardstock set, end up cutting off part of it, and then I'll pull in the leftover piece up here on the right hand side. And I feel like that kind of disguised that oopsies. So, and then I end up pulling in a battery that says rad. And then I think that yellow sticker was a puffy sticker. I pop the rad up on foam, and then I pull in this little heart. I think that was from the cardstock sticker set. And so I'm just gonna pop a little bit of foam up on that right-hand side of the heart. And then I'm gonna add a few little stars here from the cardstock sticker set. And then I add in this cardstock sticker that says happy. And I will pop up the right-hand side on a little bit of foam since it's overhanging that heart. Add another heart over here. And then I'm going to work on the title. So I had found a font in Cricut that looked similar to kind of something you'd see on Minecraft. I think this was called Sweater, Weather maybe, or Sweater. And so I end up cutting it out on green, and then of course doing a white offset around it. So now I've got these in the plastic sleeves, and so what I've got to do is I've got to create a way to slip these flip flaps through my main page protector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip this page in there, And then you'll see I take a Sharpie and kind of mark the ends of either side. So at the top and the bottom, kind of where it starts. And I didn't do it, I don't think I do it all on camera here, but I will mark the top and the bottom so I know about how long the slits need to be. And I'm just going to create slits so then that way I can feed the flip flap pockets through. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just putting a spare piece of cardstock through the middle, just in that way when I go to cut it with my my X-Acto knife, I don't cut through the other part of the page protector. So, and I just line it up with a ruler and just go. I think I end up marking it and then just running down with the ruler, or with along the line of the Sharpie. I wasn't sure if this was going to work. It did. I ended up cutting this right hand side off a little bit to where it was kind of pulling a little bit. So I did have to like add a little additional kind of slip at the top just so it wasn't pulling on the page protector, but it actually worked pretty well. And again, I was kind of like freehanding a lot of this, so I wasn't being like super like exact with everything. So, and so I've pulled out my 2 pieces of paper so that way I can get the flip flap fed into the slits here. So that's what I'm doing. And now that I've got them fed through, I'm going to go ahead and put the pages back into the protective lining. You can kind of see here on the right hand side where it's like bunched up a little bit, and that was because the slit wasn't like perfect there. So you will see me go in with the scissor here and just cut a little bit in the top of that, just to kind of give a little bit more wiggle room with that flap while it's opening and closing. So it seemed like it was fine when it was open, but then when I would close it, it would kind of like yank on the protective sleeve there a little bit. So. And here are some close-ups. I end up doing this off without my light on just because it kept shining really badly on the plastic. So that's the inside of the Minecraft flip flap. And then the inside of the TNT flip flap here. And then you can see the centerpiece there. So again, like not really a lot of embellishing just because a lot of work went into, actually making the flip flop. So I might go back in later and just add some Minecraft pieces or something there. But really at the end of the day, most of the decoration is supposed to kind of be these pieces here. So, and here's some close-up shots. Here's the Minecraft flip flap and the inside of the Minecraft flip flap. Here's the TNT flip flap, and then the inside of the TNT flip flap, and then the centerpiece that's in the actual page. Thanks for coming by to watch another process video.